Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Glenda Dawson from Glenda's Dragon's Den, Glenda's Magical Creations, and I am here with LD, and you are watching Glenda's Dragon's Den on the Conscious Awakening Network on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, YouTube, and many other streaming platforms. I have a very lovely, wonderful guest here waiting for us to just introduce her. Her name is Donna Fairhurst. How are you, Donna?
I'm amazing. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Perfect, perfect.
And I'm
Couldn't get
far from
better.
perfect, but she puts up with me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a woman, a wife, a mother, a stepmother, a grandmother of 12, a sister, a friend, and a life and soul coach. I'm a Reiki master and the chief evolving officer of Soulful Solutions, which is my coaching company and the vehicle for my healing modalities. My journey has taken me through near blindness as a child from birth, to polio, to bankruptcy, cancer, multiple near death experiences, and relationship Armageddon. And through that all, I finally realized my true love for myself. And when that happened, I drew my true love to me. And it taught me to embrace my gifts and my true purpose for being. So I guide beautiful clients and souls to pivot powerfully through any challenge and live on purpose with creativity and passion. I like to combine my psychic abilities, aura imaging, my healing modalities, and practical down to earth living tools for daily living. My clients would say I'm tough love in a velvet glove.
Hmm.
At There in my highest level, we come to an awareness of here and now and living as a human being rather than a human doing.
Very good. Very
Well,
good.
I got to tell you, I've served on several 501c3 multi-million dollar annual operating boards, and I love Chief Evolution Officer.
Thank you. Well, I find that as my clients grow, I grow with them, and it's a journey together. What expands one expands them all if it's in the highest good of all concerned.
Very good. Very good. Very true. It's wonderful. We just put up your website, and people could go there to uh, get in touch with you if they have any questions. So, what exactly, you said you went through a Armageddon of relationships and near-death experiences, and how did that occur for you? How did that manifest for you?
Uh, well, I was born technically legally blind. My parents didn't discover it until I was 12 years old because I could see everything within 3 feet of me fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
The further it got away, the more diffused it became. And once you get past the 3 foot level, everything everybody looks to me like some kind of glorious Christmas tree. All of their auras and chakras and their lights and what's coming and going is what shines out for me. And so, because I was born that way, I didn't see any other reality but that. And I didn't have the words or the tools at that age to explain or
Right.
know what I was seeing. When I finally became aware that other people didn't see the way I saw, and when I tried to talk about it, my parents thought it was pretty woo woo and out there, especially when I spoke about talking with angels and guides and guardians, and they kind of came from very different religious backgrounds, so they shut it down, shut me down with it, and I sort of went into a cocoon, and I didn't become a butterfly and start to come out of that cocoon until I was well into my 30s, and I still never talked about it. I never talked about any of my abilities or the things that I saw because it didn't make sense to people at that time. And if it did, it kind of scared them. So I just went in the closet. And then when my life started to fall apart, my adult life, I had two marriages that didn't make it
Mm-hmm.
and a couple of near misses. And then I decided to step into my own power in relationship and be worthy of and married to myself. And when that happened, I shone my light and it drew that light towards me. And I'm now married to the most amazing soul on the planet. And
Well, you
he's the
can't be
one.
because I'm over here.
Well, okay, there can be two. We live in
Okay.
different we live in
I'll
different countries.
share. I'll
You're
share.
the American version.
I'll
There
share the
you
title.
go.
I'm the Canadian version.
There you go.
Yeah, so think of it this way. I was an executive for all of my adult life in a number of different capacities in a number of different businesses, including my own. That I had to declare bankruptcy when 911 happened because the Canadian mom and pop travel agency business fell right off the planet when 911 happened.
Yes.
So I pivoted from that into being an executive manager for other travel companies. And at that time, I met my third husband, although if anybody told me then I was going to be married to him 17 years later, I would have laughed. And yet, that's exactly what happened. And so you can't ever tell where the twists and turns of life are going to take you. It's like a river, a river just moves and flows, and sometimes it's got a shallow bank, and sometimes it's deep, and sometimes it's flooding. Sometimes it's a waterfall that's cascading beautifully and yet powerfully with great energy.
Right.
And our life is like that. We ebb and flow, we fall and rise like the river rises. And if we can embrace that energy and just be in a place of non-judgment in the river of our life, then it flows. And then we know whatever bank we land up on or touch is a lesson or a touchstone for us to grow. And from that perspective, there is no failure. Failure is just an opportunity to know yourself better and grow yourself from whatever that lesson you feel you're learning in the experience, the feeling of failure. I call it failing forward.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Now, so because you stepped into your own power, learned how to love yourself, and gave yourself that permission, you then found your twin soul?
He found me, actually. Well, the truth is, I was at his wife's funeral, and his wife and I were great friends. He and I weren't great friends. We were acquaintances, and they were clients of mine when I owned my travel agency. And then I moved away. I closed down the agency. I moved away to take an executive job in another city. And so I spoke to his wife, his beautiful wife, many times, and we emailed back and forth and that, but I never really saw Frank. And then she died and she came to me. Literally, her spirit came to me and she said, I'm dead now and you need to get a message to Frank. And I knew that she was ill and passing away. She'd been ill for 14 years. And so I said, well, Frank doesn't know what I do, Debbie. How would I get that message to him? She said, I don't know. That's not my job. I'm busy here. Here's the message. Give it to him. And oh yeah, go to my funeral. And
Right.
said, okay, I will. And so the next day, Frank's best friend in Pincher Creek phoned me and said, I said, yeah, I know. I'll be at the funeral. He said, wait a minute. I didn't tell you yet. How did you know she was gone? And then I had to I heard it through the grapevine. And he said, okay. Well, Frank asked me to call everybody. And I said, that's okay. I'll be there. And I phoned Frank to leave him a message. And at the time that I phoned him, and this is so magnificent, the power failed in my building and the email didn't go through.
Wow.
So he didn't get the message.
Oh,
So I'm at the funeral and with some other friends, and we're all, going through the lineup and giving each other a hug and everything. And I get up to Frank and give him a hug and say, how much I loved Debbie and how much I'll miss her and blah, blah, blah. And I said, and did you get the message about the boots? And he said, what boots? And I said, well, Debbie has a pair of boots that she wants Louise to have. And you're not going to find them. Near as I can tell, they're in some little English cottage, although why she'd leave, my husband's British, why you would leave them on the other side of the world, I don't know.
right.
And he said, so you don't know what these boots are? I said, yeah, they're garden boots. They're blue. They've got flowers on them. He said, oh yeah, she loves those. She always did the gardening in them and that, British wellies.
Right.
And so I said, okay, well, he said, where are they? I said, I told you they're in some little cottage with window boxes and flowers, and I don't know. Now, I had never been to their home because
Mhm.
my partner at the time and he couldn't stand each other. So
Mm.
we didn't socialize except through Rotary or some of the service clubs and the community events that were going on. And so I didn't know him very well. I knew he was kind of cute, and he was kind of funny, and that's all I knew about him.
Right.
And he's after some time he started coming up to see a group of us that were widowers and divorced and living in another city, and he would come up to visit,
Mhm.
and as he said, to get away from the sackcloth and ashes, he called it, because Debbie had been dying for 14 years. It was a really long and difficult journey, and the
Right.
last 4 years that I wasn't there for were particularly hard. And they'd said all of their goodbyes, and they'd had all of their time to share everything that they wanted themselves and the family to know, and friends. And she said, I want you to move on as quickly as possible. You've been dying by inches with me,
Right.
and I want you to start living. And he started coming up and getting together with a bunch of friends, and another friend and I were actually pushing a girlfriend on him. We thought they were beautifully suited because I'm a fairly big, bodacious woman, and Debbie was this tiny, tiny little English rose, blonde hair, blue eyed, very proper. And I wasn't any of that. And so another friend who knew him very well, she was widowed. We devised a plan to introduce him to another widow friend of ours who was tiny and blonde and blue-eyed and all of
Right.
those things that Debbie was. And he got it. And then one day he said to me, I really want you to stop doing what you're doing. And I said, well, what would that be? What am I doing? And he said, yes, so and so is a lovely woman, and I understand why you might think that she might be the right person for me to, explore life again together. I'm not remotely interested.
Okay.
And that's what I said. Oh, okay. So, like, what are you thinking? You just going to keep, playing the field and doing that? Now, I want you to picture this. He was staying at my house. He rotated between Rosie's place and mine, my other girlfriend,
Right.
as in our guest room. So he was sitting there, and he'd made a pot of coffee, and I had come out, and I'd actually completely forgotten he was there. So I had when my mother died, I kept her bathrobe and her slippers,
Right.
and they were really old and ratty and everything, but they were like my comfort clothes when I wanted to connect with mom. I just put on her robe and her slippers and feel like she was hugging me.
Right.
And so I had this moldy old robe on and these moldy old slippers on. And my hair was not done, and I had no makeup on or anything. I mean, I just got up and went and got coffee.
Right.
And so I'm sitting there all tucked into this robe on the couch across from him, and he hands me a hot cup of coffee because he's got up first and made the coffee. And I'm sitting there, and he said, "Yeah, I'm really not interested in her at all." And I said, "Well, you've got to get out there, I guess." And he said, "Well, there is somebody I'm interested in." And I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, you dirty dog, and you haven't told us." And he said, "Well, I wasn't really exactly sure what the response would be, and I can't honestly say that I'm sure now." And I said, "Well, who is it? Is it somebody I know?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Is it somebody from Pincher Creek?" And he said, "Well, yes, in a way." And I
Uh-huh.
said, "Oh my God, who could possibly be there? There's nobody left." And he said, "Well, actually, I guess she's really not even close to what I was thinking, because actually it's you." And I
Oh.
had this mouthful of hot coffee, and I just spewed it all over him, spewed it everywhere. And he said, "Well, that's not exactly the response I was looking for or hoping to get, but we have opened a discussion." And I said, "There is no discussion. You're insane." And he said, "No, no." I said, "No, you don't understand it. I've been through two husbands and two, good enough for right nows.
Right.
And they weren't good enough for anything. So no, I am not going there. You're a lovely man. I know that you made Debbie very happy and took very good care of her. I am not in the market for any kind of man in my life or dirty socks on my floor again."
Right.
And he goes, uh, okay, well, could we go for breakfast? because obviously you're not going to feel like cooking. And I said, okay. So I lived in a beautiful scenic part of Calgary, and we walked across the bridge as friends and talking, and we had breakfast together. And I came back thinking, hmm. And he persisted, and he persisted, and he persisted. And eventually he got both his feet fully in the door and into my bed. And a year later, we were married. And it was and is wonderful. And
Mhm.
then I decided, his wife was a domestic goddess. She had every kind of baking, cooking tool. I had a drawer full of stuff in their house that I didn't even know what it was for. I am not a domestic goddess of any kind. And so I put them in bags, and when people would come to visit, I would open the drawer and say, "Do you know what any of this is for?" And I said, "Then you can have it, because I don't know, and I'm not ever going to use it." So we would go through that kind of adjustment period. And he was going to work, and I was bored and didn't know what to do. So I went to his shop. He's a mechanical engineer.
Right.
And I said, "I'm coming to work." And he said, "Well, where?" I said, "Here." He said, "Well, I have a bookkeeper." I said, "Oh God, no, I'm not a bookkeeper. I can't even do math." And he said, "Well, what then?" And I said, "Well, what do you do here?" And he said, "Well, we make widgets. We do machining and millwrighting, and I design pieces of mechanical engineering for other companies, and then we build it." And I went, "Okay, teach me."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Let me get this straight. You're 54 years old and you want to learn how to become a machinist, a millwright, and an engineer." And I said, "Sure, why not? How hard can it be?" And it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard. However, that said, he was an amazing teacher, and we had another employee named Ed, and he was like a 6'4" giant, gentle giant who was also a teacher and a mentor. And at the end of 2 years, I could have easily written and qualified for my second year millwright and machinist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I loved it. It was so cool to take a raw piece of material and, cut it up and then polish it and grind it and turn it into a usable thing.
Yes.
It's kind of like, I think maybe my mother felt that way about canning. You start out with the bare fruit, and you
Right.
take it all apart and you make it into something else, and you put it in a jar and you boil the heck out of it, and then you've got something to look at that's pretty on the shelf.
Right.
I've never had bear fruit. How does it taste?
Oh, her internet is coming in and out.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So let's just
No, I don't.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
You're frozen. Just don't panic.
Got married.
Okay. Donna, can you hear us? Something's happening with your Wi-Fi connection over there. So, folks, we are here live, and we're just waiting for Donna to
Catch up.
To come back, because it is Mercury retrograde, people, and anything having to do with the internet these days around Mercury retrograde, we just go with the flow. Yeah, that's all we can do.
We have a great 15 minutes.
Yeah. So, Donna, if you can hear us, go back out and come back in, maybe.
And if Bill just started streaming something, maybe ask him to wait.
So, in the meantime, we're going to be putting up some of her websites.
Can you send her a message, maybe?
Like the .com. There it is. And so if anybody's interested, we will keep her. We have her here. We're just trying to bring her back. She also wrote a really good book in Amazon, which if she comes back, she'll be able to give us more about it. But in the meantime, you can. Hi, Donna,
Hi.
you're back. Yes.
Okay, I lost you. So I just continued on talking.
Okay.
So tell me where we lost you, and I will go from there.
It was sometime after breakfast.
Yes,
Oh,
breakfast in bed.
And no, the last thing I remember was that you were getting a kick out of turning a piece of metal into
Right.
something functional.
And right.
yeah.
And
So I did that. I
right.
I became a shop steward in our shop, and I did all of the most of the cutting. I took raw steel and bronze and brass and turned them into beautiful things, and we sold those to other people, and it was magnificent. We had only one client, and he was a major elevator manufacturer in another city, and he decided he wanted to bring his shop in-house. And so he contracted us to come up and train all of his people and build his shop out and teach them how to do everything that we did. And then we were going to sod off and do our own thing.
Right.
And we ended up staying there for a year, and I I didn't fit. I just simply didn't fit. My rules for living didn't align with the new boss, and so I graciously quit and went home. And
Mm-hmm.
I started writing, and I started not for other people, but for myself, to get all of the information that I downloaded from my multiple near death experiences onto a piece of paper so that I could kind of rationally for myself see what the lessons are.
Right.
And Frank came home one day and he said, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, I'm going from zero to clarity. I've
Right.
had all of these experiences starting at, age 1 when I died of polio fever from polio. And I said, then I've had all of these other experiences decades apart, and I'm trying to string them all together and see what the lessons are that I am supposed to know from this.
Right.
And so that was good. I did that for about a year. And then we moved back to Pincher Creek and to Calgary,
Mm-hmm.
and I continued to do it. And I was kind of done with it, and I was kind of bored. I didn't know what else to do. And he came home one day and he said, now I was talking with a friend's daughter who had come over to see me, and she needed some help, and I was doing that, and she left, and I came upstairs to get a cup of tea with him, and he said, "So, this is what you were born to do." And I said, "Make tea?" And he said, "Oh, don't play stupid with me now. You're a really, really smart girl. So you were born to help people. How you
Uh-huh.
help people is by talking them through what their lessons are. I see you do it time and time again with the children, the grandchildren, with friends of friends and friends' kids." He
Right.
said, "There must be a way to turn this into a business that you can do."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was crazy. And then my sister phoned me and she said, "Look, I don't mean to be make too much of a point of this, but she said, I've been seeing this psychic, and she keeps telling me my sister's psychic, and I need to talk to her so that you need to talk to her so I can send you to her because
Right.
she has something to tell you." So she said, "You have to call her, and she's not going to charge you anything. She just wants to talk to you." And so I don't know what it was that I was resisting. I resisted for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did finally call her. And she said, "Look, I keep seeing you coaching and teaching and doing what I'm doing." And I said, "Yeah, no, not going to happen." And I went back to writing and painting. And then one day, um, years went by. And one day Frank said, "Look, this is what you're born to do. It's what you came here to do. Do it."
Right.
And so I started exploring how that could happen. And then I realized that the principles that I'd written down, that I realized from my experiences, were the principles I was using to explain different aspects of human being versus human doing to
Mm-hmm.
the people that were, synchronistically showing up in my life. And I realized there was a progression, there was a
Mm-hmm.
series. So I put it all in order, put the lessons together, and I called it Zero to Clarity 2.0. And in that, I put all of the different experiences like radical forgiveness, calm and coherence, the calm principle, sacred soul self, gratitude, the principle of giving and being open to receive. So many of them, they're all there. And it just started to flow, and when you're ready to step into your purpose for being, then everything that has to be to take you there,
Mm-hmm.
it shows up. And whether you call it synchronicity, whether you call it divine God-given guidance, whether you call it,
Mhm.
source creator, whatever it is, for me, it was creator and being connected to infinite unity.
Right.
We are all a thread in the field of infinite unity. And
Mhm.
as such, we are absolutely necessary to the field. And if one thread is drawn out, there's a weakness in the field. And
Mhm.
something has to happen to fill that in. So, by combining my psychic abilities and my aura imaging and my multiple healing modalities, I kind of generate practical tools for daily living for my clients. And it's great. I feel like I give as much as I get, and I get much more than I give.
Mhm.
And I love it. Um, I find that there's only four ways of being or doing. If you're doing, you're engaging in shame, blame, guilt, and fear, and you end up with a lot of doo doo. If you're being,
Mhm.
then you are knowing yourself, you
Mhm.
are growing yourself, you are shining your light. You know, grow, you flow like the river I described earlier. And when
Mhm.
you do that for yourself, your light shines brighter. And when your light shines brighter, you attract the lights that need that light or the lights that resonate already at that level. And so your life takes a giant leap forward spiritually every time you do that. When you do that spiritual leap, you have the physical, mental, and emotional benefits that go with that. So I say you're either now here or you're nowhere. Same letters, same
Mhm.
words, vastly different meanings.
Yes.
So the past is the past. You can't do anything about it. The future is going to come from the wisdom, the joy, the love, the living that you're in right now.
Mhm.
And it's a choice. We have that choice. And it's how we choose to lean into that or not that we define whether our life is on track and succeeding or whether we're failing. If we think we're failing, we still are at the choice point because failure is just an opportunity to learn another lesson that
Mhm.
you still need to know.
Very true.
So, Donna,
Yes,
do
sir.
you find, sir, our dad show up behind me?
Oh, he's slow, right?
um,
That was really sweet. I love that.
thank you. Uh, do you find that the clients that you coach fall
Mhm.
into a certain niche, or do you just get a little bit of everyone, or who generally do you find is drawn to you?
It's really interesting. The longer I've worked with the principals, the more different type of clients I attract. Initially, it was women between the ages of 45 and 65 that were kind of executives or homemakers that were kind of stalemated in their life, and they knew they were compromising their energy by not living from the fullness of their being.
Right.
They knew it, they felt it, they didn't know what to do to give themselves a kick in the pants and get going again.
Mhm.
So initially, the first couple of years, that's what was happening. And as those clients shared their aha moments with other clients, I started to get more of a mix. And recently, the last year and a half, I've moved from the 45, 50, 60 somethings to now I'm coaching a lot of 20, 30 somethings who want to get it right the first time around and
Right.
don't want to wait until they're 40, 50, 60, 70 to
Mhm.
learn the lessons. So it's a mix. And in the beginning, I had very few men. I called them the brave few.
Mhm.
And now it's pretty equally balanced between men and women. And I have everybody from 20 to 80.
So, someone is told about you and they go to your website, and what do they
Mm.
say?
When they go to my website, you see all of my healing modalities and teaching. There's a lot of all of the interviews. This will eventually be on my website as well.
Oh, good.
And yeah, yeah, every interview I have, every podcast I do, we post it in a media site on my website. So anybody that goes to the website can see anything I've ever done.
Good.
and compare notes. There's a
Mhm.
there's a lot there, and any articles I've been featured in. Also, when you come in, you automatically, just for the grace and goodness of you checking me out, you automatically get my clearing and manifesting prayer, which is the number one tool in my Zero to Clarity toolkit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Then there's also an opportunity for you to book a Zero to Clarity coaching session if you're interested in coaching. If you're not interested in coaching and you've booked it, well, I'll do a little top up, energy top up, and we'll have a chat, and then you'll go away and decide whether you want to come back for more.
And what is the
Primarily,
cost for that?
pardon?
What is the cost for that initial consultation?
Nothing.
Oh,
Very good.
well, that
Nothing.
does
I
seem-
that is my gift forward, my pay it forward.
Mhm.
The first time you talk with me and connect with me in a coaching capacity, I'm there just to give you the love.
Right.
well, that's nice because it helps people determine whether or not they feel comfortable with you and can relate, and whether you come from an intuitive place as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I find it works both ways because, someone might feel that they're a fit for me and I might not feel that they're a fit for me. If they're not a fit to work with my principles, then I'll refer them to somebody that I know can help them.
Right. Good. Good.
Well, that's important because you know there's nothing more challenging than working with a client that's not ready, and not being a good fit is similar to that. Maybe there's something about me as a coach that the client wasn't ready to connect with me, but there could be another coach that they feel much more comfortable interfacing with, and I would always do the same thing. But
Yeah.
it
I
it was
always
a
refer.
struggle for me to work with a client that just wanted to fight instead of create a dialogue.
Well, I told you I was tough love in a velvet glove. If you're not going to do the work, don't waste my time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you just want
Right.
to show up and get a pat on the back and not have to do any work, I'm not the coach for you.
Right.
If you really want to know yourself, you want to figure it all out, you want to get back in the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that your body is the bus that carries your soul around.
Right.
Your soul is driving the bus. And one way or another, if you're not in the driver's seat, who is?
Mm-hmm.
So I take you through the Zero to Clarity principles, um, helping you to integrate
Mm-hmm.
that and to speak your truth and be generous with your time and forgive easily and to live with radical forgiveness and gratitude in your heart and to be coming from a place of calm and coherence rather than chaos and incoherence.
Right.
And I find, yeah, you're either willing to do that work or you're just whining.
Well, the nice thing I think in my experience is the executives or the young executives that were trying to walk that walk. They want to do the work, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I can understand how you were able to attract those people because they don't want to waste their time either. They don't have time to waste.
Mm.
And if
Well,
they're not moving forward, they're not interested usually in continuing either.
I find now that I say that I have the rainbow. I have such a wide spectrum of clients now, mostly young to middle-aged professionals.
Right.
I do have a lot of a fair number of retirees or
Mm-hmm.
early retirees that are they've done their workload, but they're still young and they're still vibrant and they still want to do something more with their life. They don't feel the clarity around that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll help again to take them from zero to clarity to figure out where their next best steps and energy moves should be.
Mm-hmm. Sounds very good. Um,
Now, I don't know if you were here, but while you were frozen, we put your book up there.
right.
How does the book tie in with that?
This is one of the compilation books that I authored in. Now, how these books tie in is I believe that we create everything. I know that everything that we create in our life comes from the intentions that we set. So I always tell my clients right up front, if I teach you nothing else, know that when you say I am, those are the two most powerful words that you will ever say.
Mhm.
Whatever you say after I am, either better be positive or don't express it. Or if you need to express it, then express it as a feeling, anything negative as a feeling. When you say I am, you are literally engaging in God, source, creator energy, the universal force, the infinite unity, whatever that is or is not for you.
Mhm.
You are turning on an energy switch
Right.
that is telling the universe that I am this, and so I want to bring more of that to me. So
Mhm.
if you say it's something negative, like I'm tired or I'm sad or I'm bored or whatever, then your guides, your guardians, everybody on the other side, they're like your God squad. They're like your cheerleading squad, right? They've got their pom-poms and their
Right.
megaphones and their little uniforms on, and they're happy and excited and jumping. And you say, I am so tired and sad. They go, oh dear God, here she goes again. Why can't she just choose happy, or at least just to explore the feeling of it?
Right.
And so then they have no choice, because you've declared that as an actual energy that you are operating from and are.
Mhm.
So now all they can do is send you more of the experiences that are going to create more of that feeling. So, your dog dies, your cat gets pregnant, your car gets a flat tire, you get to work, the boss fires you. How's your day going so far?
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
And then if you say, I'm feeling tired,
Mhm.
that's a whole different realm. Now they say, yay, we can move in and we can give her some experiences to take that feeling away, because he or she is not declaring it as an actual state of being,
Right.
right?
Well, you always want to keep those cheerleaders in that positive motivation, because you never want to have Ariel question why she had to put the Spanx on for this.
That's true. You don't want to be on the other side of Michael's double-edged sword.
That's right.
No, no.
So I think that's great. And, I also very early on get to the importance of the I am statement. So, those are two things we have in common. And I believe Glenda also works very poignantly with that as well. So, we have a touchstone that we can all identify with. And that's why we're here, to get into that soul contract and make that goal and get
I
our
love
butts
that.
kicked till we get there.
I love the soul contract. That is so perfect and so true. We do have a soul contract, and the degree to which we realize that we are the author of the contract.
Right.
We drew it out before we ever incarnated, is the degree to which we can actually be in the driver's seat of our life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We have to have all four of those quadrants synced and working together. One of the things that I really love to do is break down the energy of words like calm and coherence and sacred, and all of those different energies. Every word has power. If I could rewrite the dictionaries of the world, I would eliminate the word but from every language, however it's said. It is a but of a word. It will get you nowhere but trouble,
Mhm.
because think about it. If I said, hey, Glenda, hey, I just love you, but,
Yeah.
or what a great looking car, but, or
Mhm.
wow, I like your program, but,
Mhm.
you know that anything that comes after, any of the good, the juicy stuff that came before that got you all excited, made you ready to hear something good, just died
Yeah.
with that
And,
word.
and let's just be specific. That's but with one T.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
I
a
don't think
lot,
it's a
lot of
but of,
women are very attached to the other but.
well, it's a but of a word.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
is a butt word.
Right.
There you go.
But yes, it's true. Your the whole energy shifts, and
Yeah,
it goes from a beautiful statement, a radiant statement, to something that's kind
Passive
of
aggressive.
diluted,
yes.
dark, and only to anchor the person, not to let them be free and flow into the light, so to speak.
That is beautifully, beautifully put, Glenda. It's like telling somebody you're going to give them wings
Uh-huh.
and then putting them in concrete boots,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So I say use any word. If you can, just put a period at the end of the sentence and go on with your next sentence, or do or however or yet,
Right.
any positive connector.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of look at that as the rider to the contract, because the contract you made before you got to see what 3D was really like. But everywhere you go, you can add that rider for that particular
That's
venue.
true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the contracts aren't necessarily written in stone. They can be modified. And, you know, as long as you're evolving and moving forward, I've found that Source is very comfortable with modifying the contract.
Well, I was playing with the principle of failure, and I was writing in the 4th book for the series we were telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. You know how you get your book and you're so excited to see it, and you look at the cover and you feel the cover, and then you open the cover and you see, the title page of the book, and then go to the chapter page and you scroll for your name if you're in a compilation, and you find, oh, I'm on page 51. And so you turn to page 51 and there's your name, there's your chapter title, there's your quote for the title, and you turn the page to start and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
That happened to me.
Oh my.
It happened to me after I had just received 100 books pardon me, 50 books for that one, that I was going to give away to a woman's business luncheon where I was appearing in a week as a speaker.
Oh my goodness.
Now I have 50 books that I've paid for and shipping and came here, and my chapter and another author's chapter is missing. So, I believe in walking my talk. I got calm. I got coherent. I phoned the editor and our, leader in this book. And I said, hey, Julie, have you got the new book? And she said, yeah. Did you get yours? I saw you ordered 50. And I said, yeah, I got them. They're great, except. And she goes, what? I said, except that I'm not in it. And she said, well, of course you are. You're in the middle of the book. I always put you in the middle of the book. And I said, I know, I'm not there. And neither is this other lady. And she said, what? I said, open the book. Go past your chapter and open the book. She opened the book and she said, there you are, page 51. I said, great, turn to page 51. She turned to page 51 and she said, oh my good God. Oh dear Lord. What? It's not there. I said, yes, it's not there. Go figure. What are we going to do about that? And she said, well, you can send the books back to me, and I'll talk to Amazon and find out what happened. It's obviously a snafu at the printers somehow. Right. I said, great. Now what am I going to do for the 50 women that have been promised this book for next week?
Uh-huh.
And she goes, ooh, that sucks. I said, yeah, big time. Okay. I said, well, you know what? There's a lesson in this. Somehow in this, I'm failing forward. I don't yet feel the love. I'll lean into it and I'll let you know how it goes. So I'm going to keep the books and I'll take them to the women's shelter or the hospital. I mean, nobody will care whether my chapter is not there except me. All the other stories in the book are as amazing or better than mine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'll learn to live with this. She said, wow, I can't believe that you can move into forgiveness like that. I said, no, I haven't moved yet. I've just got my foot on the path. And I'm trying real hard. I'm not feeling the love. There's still not a lot of love there.
Right.
So I do what I usually do when something like that hits me in the face. I take a day to just, don't think about it. Don't do it.
Right.
So I packed up all the books in a box and I put them out of sight. And I went, okay, just breathe. Call in your guides, call in your guardians. And the words that kept coming to me were failing forward. Mm-hmm. Failing forward. Figure it out, Donna. So the day before I had to go to this talk and give out the books that didn't have the chapter in it that I was going to talk about, I got this, I thought, brilliant direction from Michael, I believe. And it said, put the chapter in yourself. How hard can it be? So I pulled up my chapter. I printed out 50 copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
I printed out a copy of the talk of why I considered it failing forward. And I
Right.
stuffed it in the book at page 51.
Wonderful.
I gave the talk around that was an opportunity to know myself, to
Mm-hmm.
grow myself, to
Mm-hmm.
flow from the bank of the river I washed up on,
Mm-hmm.
and to, you know, make a cocktail out of crap.
Good.
And so I did. And it was wildly successful. And I learned it's not what's between the covers that counts, it's how you use what you put between the covers that counts.
Everything is opportunity.
Yes.
Absolutely. There is no failure.
Right.
It's just a failure to perceive, the feeling of a failure to perceive the next step that you need to take.
Correct. Correct.
It's part of the recipe.
And it's so wonderful to see that you're also following in your words, because we've seen a lot of people, they do a lot of talking but they're not doing the walking, and I keep saying, but you're supposed to be the example. If you're preaching or saying this, I want to see the actions to go with that.
And I really think that that's one of the reasons why I've been very successful as a coach, is because I don't have any university degrees. I
Mm-hmm.
have I have many healing modality certifications, and I'm a Reiki master. However, I don't have anything beyond a grade 12 graduate degree. I have earned through a very long and sometimes treacherous and sometimes difficult life
Mm-hmm.
a lot of life lessons that have kept me in clarity through my
Mm-hmm.
life. You know, bankruptcy will do it. Polio will do it. Heartbreak will do it. Divorce will do it. It'll
Mm-hmm.
do numbers over and over. It's if you become the energy of that rather than the solution. That's why I do everything from a soul-based, soulful solution. And that's why I called my company Soulful Solutions, FULL.
Mm-hmm.
Because you either fill up from it or you're full of it, right?
Right.
What are you filling up? What are you taking in that moves you forward rather than keeps you stuck?
Exactly.
And with that, I would like to add a point of information that the link we put up for the book does have your chapter in it.
Yay! Well, the book that we're talking about, The Women Like Me from Lost to Living, that is probably the longest chapter in any of the books, and it is the story of my mother's transition
Okay.
and how moving through that with her introduced me to angels that I hadn't met before, and
Mhm.
all kinds of wonderful, synchronistic, beautiful spiritual experiences, right down to taking her ashes to Hawaii to spread where she wanted to be.
Wow.
And
Beautiful.
it's a really beautiful story. I think you'll love it.
And just for clarity, I'm presuming we're talking about a transition from a physical plane to a spiritual plane.
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful, and it's great that the two of you could bond through your sharing of that experience as well. And I'm certain that she's happy to have contributed to that.
Oh, she's one of my greatest guides from the other side. Actually, my
Right.
dad comes around more than her. Mom was really a student of life in every way, and she loved to teach and learn. And so, my dad shows up really often as a spirit guide, and I'll ask him that I haven't seen Mom for a while, and he'll say, "Oh well, she hasn't changed. She's just like she was on the other side. She's off at this school or that school or this university or that university. It continues on."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, when she does show up, she shows up as a butterfly. And I thought
Nice.
it was really beautiful that I never picked the cover. I never knew what the cover was going to be for this book until it came out. And there was this beautiful butterfly on the front.
Mm.
And I thought, oh my God, how perfect is that? Because that's what I talk about in the book.
Mm.
So you do speaking engagements, private speaking engagements,
I do.
and are you transitioning to more public engagements? Do you have any thoughts of?
I started doing this. I was doing private workshops and private retreats prior to the pandemic, and then that all died and went away for 2 years. And I had to sort of recreate myself through Zoom and through this platform with you. I feel that I'm quite a bit of a Technosaurus Rex. Technology seems to like lose its energy when I come around. I've got too much energy, and I just kind of dumb it down. And my husband, we have this really expensive or imaging equipment, and he won't let me within 3 feet of it. Just like stay out of the zone. Don't, and we know it. You can see it. We've actually practiced with family members. We'll sit them down in the chair and have them he'll be doing the imaging. And he said, okay, now walk up and stand behind them. And their whole field changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he just says, stay back until I'm done. And then I'll give it to you and you can do whatever you want with it.
Yes, yes.
We work in symbiotic ways, and I'm starting to develop some online courses now from the principles, and becoming a bit of a mistress of Zoom. So that's cool. But I really want to get back into public teaching and public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm going. I recently did a women's and family wellness event for an Indigenous band near us. So that was really wonderful.
Nice.
We were working on reconciliation here. And yeah, it was wonderful. It felt great to be in front of a live audience again and just really working with people that wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And are the private events and soon to be public events situated specifically in Canada, or are you crossing borders?
I haven't crossed the border yet. I am considering it. I've been invited to participate in 2 conferences. We're trying to figure some things out at this end to see if I can carve out that time at those specific dates.
Right.
So yeah, I'm considering I'm open to all offers.
But there you go. Open to all opportunities. Wonderful.
Yes.
So you have a website, and I'm gonna put it up again, just to make sure. Now, can people also contact you like on Facebook and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I have my Facebook, Donna Fairhurst, and it's Soulful Solutions, and Life on Purpose is the Facebook group.
Right.
And you can phone me. All my information is on the website. There's an info page.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much anything you want to do with me, you can get all the information about it on the website. I try to have as much there as possible so people are making informed decisions
Good.
about it. And I'm always ready and willing to jump on a call for a few minutes if you don't get something or don't understand something.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Now, is there anything in particular that we have not covered? We're coming close to about
5-minute mark.
Yeah, 5-minute mark. So,
choose calm. I don't know if I could give the 10 tips for calm in 5 minutes. Do you want me to try?
Yes,
Let's
please.
Okay, let's go. Okay, I will say this much faster than I'm used to saying it.
Yeah.
Slow down. Walk and breathe slower. Stop. Relax your body, your jaw, drop your shoulders. And if you have to move quickly, do it as relaxed as you can. Number 2, talk slower. Think about what you're going to say. Allow yourself to take a breath between sentences or thoughts. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Spend less time on social media. When the phone rings or pings, smile, close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and smile before answering. Even if they can't see your smile, they can feel it. It makes a whole different conversation. Take a short break at the same time every day to calm and reset your mind, recalibrate your body, and set intentions and notice how your body is feeling. Throughout the day, take mini retreats, just a few seconds to visualize or look at something that's beautiful and soothing. Use transitions like travel time and to and from your office to notice where you are in your body in any given moment and what it's telling you to let go of. We carry an excess of tension, and a lot of times when we get into a vehicle, that energy follows us and it accumulates, and that's how accidents happen. Notice your mindset when you're out walking, cycling, or driving. Is it positive or negative? Practice relaxing when you're doing it, especially with music or affirmations. My favorite one, connect to the earth. Get
Mm,
outside at least once a day and for 30 or 45 minutes or 2 or 3 15-minute sessions throughout the day. Pay attention to the weather, the sky, the breath, the air, plants, and any wildlife that's around you. Just before we started this, I was looking out my window and there are two mating eagles dancing in the sky together. And I went, oh, I'll miss their spiral. And yet I'm spiraling here with you. We're
mhm.
flying like eagles together.
Yes.
Add something beautiful to the space that you spend the most time in. Flowers, a plant, some music, a photo or a painting in colors that resonate with you.
Mm,
And listen to music you love. Spend some time each day to reconnect with spirit, in spirit, to spirit, in that manner that resonates with you and your belief system.
mm.
And then just breathe. Just breathe and be. That's it.
Well, that's a lot.
So
Now,
wonderful.
at this stage, with the success that you're achieving, is there something calling you that you have not yet fully developed? Is there a goal that you're sort of working on but haven't quite come to?
I'm writing my book,
Mhm.
and I think it's interesting because January 1st last year, I set an intention to become a best-selling author, and I became a best-selling author 5 times over, yet just in chapter compilations. So my intention for 2023 is to finish my own book that's entirely mine, which may be actually 2 books. One would be the journey, the story of my life,
Right.
and then the other would be the principles that I learned from the journey and my near-death experiences.
Mhm.
And so I think I'm on page 285 of that.
So, do you have titles for them that people could look for, or are you still even a working
Uh,
title?
you can help me. Let me take a poll here. And if you're hearing this, email me, text me. I've got 2 titles. One is Zero to Clarity. You're
Mhm.
not dead until you choose it.
Right.
And the other one is Yo-Yo to God. Lessons learned through a life lived and 4 near-death experiences.
Mm. Well, personally, I like the yo-yo.
Do you?
Yes.
Yay, that's my favorite.
That's like
Well,
that.
I honestly have to take some credit because I'm kind of the yo-yo.
Well, that's what I feel like when anybody has asked me about how I felt going back and forth between here and source like that. I said, honest to God, I felt like a human yo-yo, just
Yes.
going up and down on their string.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that I believe is that definitely caught me and definitely resonated right away. So,
But you guys out there,
yeah,
you make your own choices. Don't
don't go by what I
Don't
say.
yet.
God knows I don't.
Well,
Oh,
I know some people thought I was talking about a diet book because of the yo-yo dieting thing, and it's
Right.
not a
right.
diet book.
No,
No, I
it's
don't think God needs a diet.
No, no.
So, sweetie,
so.
take us home.
Yes, I wanted to thank you, Donna, again.
Oh, I'm so
Please,
blessed, and thank you.
thank you, and thank the audience for being with us here week after week. Please continue to send us messages, emails. If there's somebody that you would like us to try to get for you, please let us know. Again, you can find me at glendasmagicalcreations.com. And many blessings. Love to all. See you next time. Bye.